If you grew up with unlimited internet access, raise your hand. Me too! You know what that means. You were probably part of all of that. Early 2010s YouTube was a wild west where kids like me could binge anything. From Minecraft roleplays to Nightcore to Yandere Simulator fan songs to My Little Pony Cinema and Gorefest, all within a day. Yeah, like Smile HD, Cupcakes, Rainbow Factory, you know the ones. Today I want to go into that whole realm of the internet, you know, the good, the bad, and the nightmare fuel. Like I said, I'm pretty sure most people who were young on the internet back then had a really similar, if not the exact same experience as I did. I feel anyone in my current age range actually who was a kid during the 2010s can agree that it was one of the craziest experiences ever. YouTube was this new thing that everyone was flocking to since it was an exciting new career opportunity for most creators, and that new income came from audiences just watching content mindlessly whenever they could. That's where a ton of people like me fit in. Middle or high schoolers who were the first to experience YouTube in its infancy, or I guess its own adolescence in a way. Millennials and older teens got the YouTube when it was super new, but a lot of the younger side got YouTube during the Minecraft roleplay and Paul Brothers era.
I think there's someone hanging right there.
Everyone's experience growing up with early 2010s YouTube is unique. Gonzo Kugai 9, also known as my boyfriend, was mainly into Let's Play YouTube. Best in Slot, Riot, Tomska, you know, like that side. My brother, who's 2 years older than me, was mostly on the Minecraft side. Sky Does Minecraft, Captain Sparkles, Stampy, that side. I asked the group chat that's mostly AFAB what they would watch, and they mentioned Nightcore, Aphmau, Yandere Simulator, that corner more so. And every kid on the internet at that time had their niche, but I didn't. Here's some socio-political context about me in my youth. I had no friends. So when I'd get home from school, I wouldn't hang out with anyone, nor would I be texting anyone, unless it was strangers on aminos, but we're not going down that rabbit hole. So from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. every day, I was just on YouTube. Oh, what about homework? I had this habit of always doing it during recess or lunch because I had no friends. And this was weird because it resulted in me watching everything all at once. 1 second I was watching Aphmau, Cub Scouts, Nightcore, Yandere Simulator fan songs, and the next I was watching Keemstar. I don't know what pipeline I fell down, nor why I enjoyed it. Nonetheless, all those fandom spaces a kid could fall into online, I somehow did. Five Nights at Freddy's, Sonic, Minecraft, Undertale, and especially My Little Pony. I know that was a lot of exposition, I got a bit lost. My Little Pony is entirely free to watch on YouTube, and in 2012, that was also true. I watched the entire thing, though around season 4 or 5 it got removed, so I didn't finish it until 2022. Either way, YouTube has this funny thing. If you watch a lot of something, like 4 seasons of My Little Pony 7 times over, it'll start recommending you stuff in that circle. And that's kind of where it started. Fan animations, some good, some not. Fan dubs, grimdark, some really good, some really not. Just a ton of fan content that was all available all at once. And it was all on YouTube since it was the site to post whatever you like. And with My Little Pony being so free to watch, the pipeline of watching season 3 episode 5 into watching Friendship is Manly or Pony.mov was so easy for so many people. I wanted to revisit those videos, so here we are. It's a bit different from my usual content, but I figured a trip down memory lane would be pretty fun. So grab some popcorn, tissues, and eye bleach while we go back in time to early 2010s YouTube. While I was revisiting those old videos, I decided to Google myself, you know, just for fun. And what I found was really upsetting. My name, my email, even old accounts were exposed. A consequence of my younger, less careful online days, spamming passwords into sketchy get 9999999 gem sites with my real name and birth year. Turns out data brokers make billions selling our information to marketers, scammers, even stalkers. And while they're required to remove your data if you ask, they make it frustrating. That's where Aura comes in, the sponsor of today's video. Aura automatically removes your data from those sites, monitors the dark web, scans your credit, and even protects kids' identities. They've got 24/7 US-based support and $5 million in identity theft insurance. If I had this as a kid, I think we could have easily avoided having all my information out as much as it is, but you live and learn. You can try Aura free for 14 days at aura.com/fromy and see for yourself how exposed your information really is. You can find this link in the description. Thank you so much to Aura for sponsoring this video, and let's start off with this whole nostalgic rabbit hole. I want to start off with one of my favorites, Sad My Little Pony video. So, Sad My Little Pony video. That's actually the main thing that made me want to make this video. This video is so simple. It's just a bunch of sad images or animations or clips of My Little Pony with Slipped Away playing in the background. And that's the entire thing. But what's amazing about it is that somehow it accrued 120 million views. I know YouTube has corrupted the way that people see numbers, and like something like that might seem small, but for comparison, that rivals the population of the Philippines, Egypt, and Japan. Imagine the entirety of Japan sitting back to watch Sad My Little Pony. There were so many videos in this time that just everyone saw back then. And I thought randomly, I wonder what videos I've forgotten but used to love back then. So yeah, that's what this is. I wrote down memory lane for 2010s My Little Pony content. Mainly on YouTube, but some of it is stuff that was outside that got brought to YouTube, and you'll see. I have this habit where I struggle with scripts if there isn't an implied structure. So let's just set the system up now. Let's just do a classic 3-topic structure. We're gonna do number 1, fan animations. This will probably be the bulkiest part of the video. Fan music, that's a really big one. And it gives you an excuse to revisit so many songs that I used to love. And for the third one, I guess we can do comic dubs or fan stories. You know, like Grimdarks, the Silly Ship ones, and stuff like that. Fan animations first, since I really like those. When I think the word, I immediately think of the really iconic ones. Lullaby for a Princess, The Moon Rises, Snowdrop, those kind. I think the first two would be better suited for the music ones, but I gotta yap about these animations. I don't think people appreciated at the time the animation quality of these videos, cause it is genuinely insane. Let's start with The Moon Rises by duo cartoonist, vocals from Eileen Monty and music from Ponyphonic, because that's the one I watched the most when I was little. Number 1, Eileen Monty's voice for Moon Rises, who is gonna come up surprisingly much in this video, is insane.
Why shouldn't they adore me? Is it not within my right? I'll not be overshadowed, mine is not the lesser light.
Also, I just realized I'm probably gonna get copyrighted a lot if I'm not careful. So from now on, if a clip does get copyrighted when I test publish this, you're gonna hear me singing it instead. Don't worry, I've got the vocals of an angel. So. But number 2, the animation is gorgeous. Luna's pupils narrowing into Nightmare Moon slits before she actually transforms into Nightmare Moon. 8. Also, this rendition of Starswirl the Bearded is way better than the one in canon, in my opinion. He just looks way more nostalgic, if you know what I mean. Like an actual old myth instead of a pillar of the past like the show did. Does that make sense? I think that, just look at them next to each other. You know what I mean. I'm 90% sure that when this was released, the castle and the architecture of the palace were not solidified in the show. And to this day, this is still what I envision it to look like. But if Moon Rises was a masterpiece, then I don't think a word exists to describe Lullaby for a Princess. Lullaby for a Princess was an animation by Warpout that was layered to Ponyphonic song, with vocals from Christina Ellis, and it took 2.5 years to create. Also, I find it really cool that Ponyphonic, and I'm assuming Dane Larton specifically, composed both pieces and both received some of the most badass animations of the entire fandom. I'd be ecstatic, bro. This was the only media we had about Celestia and Luna's fight before the canonical scene in season 4, and I'm gonna be so honest, I don't know how the show writers saw this animation and even attempted to animate it themselves. And even the fact that they did try and fumbled it this bad is tragic. I do appreciate the animation of this a lot, but I don't think people talk about the VFX enough. I love when people smother videos and art with these bright ass glows and effects, and I think Lullaby was one of the few to put in just barely as much as possible without it becoming a burden on the animation beneath. Plus the transitions and their movements being paired so perfectly with the music, like oh my god, I'm gonna layering the most intense visuals of the animation on the most gentle parts of the song.
Moon princess, good night, sister mine. Rest now in moonlight's embrace.
And of course, Celestia's hair turning rainbow after using the elements against Luna, a permanent reminder that she had to banish her sister. It was just so good, and I'm honestly so upset that the show writers didn't just steal that because, no, you know what, I'm gonna rant for a bit. So, Luna, when she's restored from the moon, has her young design, short hair, not flowing, etc., which implies she was banished when she was younger, but in the canon scene of their battle, they both have their grown-up designs. And I get it narratively, it's because they wanted to make Twilight confused and scare the audience into thinking that it was the present and not a flashback. But why? It retcons episode 1 of the show and removes so much emotional vulnerability that Twilight crying over a crumpled Celestia couldn't replicate. I don't know, maybe I'm complaining over nothing, but that's just a complaint I've had for so long. Anyways, back to memorable animations. There was Children of the Night, animated by duo cartoonists once again, and music from Hocus Pocus. It was a really pretty animation that was just more Luna appreciation, which I really liked as a kid. It's still closer to the canon animation, but it has their unique art style. The fillies being spun around and galloping with her is so cute, and it makes me giggle every time I see them. Like, look at this little goofball. It's just really cute and one of the softer ones. It's not lore heavy or super emotional, and it's nice to look at. As far as I know, Dual Cartoonist isn't online anymore, which really sucks. And this is the truth for most of these animators actually. Around 2020, when the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, aka COPPA, got introduced, all these sorts of animation videos got cooked. Most videos had comments shot off, even if not kid-friendly, just because they were My Little Pony adjacent. It caused a lot of issues for animators because they not only lost community, but often monetization as well. So when COPPA started to target Duo's animations, they simply disappeared from YouTube in 2020 and haven't been heard from since. Their Tumblr is still up, but the last post was in 2017. So yeah, offline as far as we know. Warpout's channel is still online, but not online. They released Lullaby for a Princess and then a video showcasing the creation, but never posted after that. All except for one comment on the original animation video, which luckily got its comment features back up 4 years ago. I owe you all some form of update. You all brought me so much kindness, it's only fair I let you in on what's been going on with me after Lullaby. I got fired, got a new job, found love, bought a home, married and got a beautiful daughter. She is 3 now. Side note, since this is 4 years ago, that would make her 7 now, so congratulations. I look back at this project with much love. I have tried to start new projects, but the time I have to invest has been very little. I still draw from time to time to keep my skill up. Perhaps when I find more time I can animate again. But for now, my time goes to my family, friends, and job. Thank you for understanding. I hope the last years have been kind. Greetings, Warpout. It really sucks that this amount of skill with animation and VFX couldn't become a career for Warpout, at least as far as I know. But that's the world sometimes. I'm glad that their life is going well though, that's the most that we can hope for someone after all. Those are the big song ones that I think made the biggest impact, and again, maybe it would have been better for the song section, but I wanted to focus on Duo and Warpout's efforts on these. Other than animations over music, there's fan animations for original stories that closely follow the canon art style and storytelling mannerisms, while still being really unique. I think the most iconic one that people can remember is Snowdrop, a 14-minute animation created by Silly Philly Studios in 2013. It features the story of a blind Pegasus, an isolated kid who struggles in class due to most avoiding her for her disability. She struggles to make a project to present as a gift for the princesses, one to celebrate the 100th spring sunrise, celebrating the end of the cold season and the warm welcome of spring. This takes place thousands of years in the past, before Luna's exile, and when winter is still seen as a burden for the cold and how it covers the beautiful landscape. Snowdrop has a fixation with stars due to how her mother describes them, but isn't able to see any of them. Her mother makes the promise that one day she might be able to hear them, but for a long time it doesn't happen. On one cold winter's night, she finally hears the twinkles, but they're not from the stars. Rather, thick drops of snow fall and sway around her, causing the melodic sound in the night. It's her only time ever being able to recognize stars, and in a moment of realization, she uses one of her feathers to shape a star into one of the snowdrops. At least to the best she can from descriptions she's heard and the feel of her hooves. She presents her gift to the princesses, one of which seems pretty Debbie Downer despite the celebration, like come on, put a smile on. Snowdrop explains that due to her blindness, she can't experience the same wonders as others, seeing spring or the sky, but she can still feel them. And to her, the snow twinkles the same way the stars do, something beautiful in itself to her. Winter is overlooked, but Snowdrop sees the things it brings as an overseen gift, alienated and supposedly sad that no one likes it. The only celebration it has is people celebrating the end of it.
Celebrating spring is good, but winter can't be all bad if it gives us these. It may be cold and dark, but that doesn't mean there isn't any good to it. Maybe winter is sad that every pony doesn't like it. So, maybe we need to make wishes on the winter's snow, just like how we wish on the night stars. Maybe then we can have a happy winter instead. We already have a happy spring, and summer, and fall. Can't winter be happy too? Because winter, it's important. Even if it seems useless, it can give us wonderful things. So...
May we see your wishing snow?
Luna resonates with her message since it's one that fits her perfectly. Even if you feel different or less capable, even if people shun you or don't value what you bring, you can still create something beautiful and meaningful. Winter offers the snow, which Snowdrop turns into the first ever snowflake. To Luna, it's a reminder that even when her nighttime is shunned because everyone is asleep, it doesn't mean it isn't beautiful or important. The princesses accept her gift as the winner and create the tradition of forming snowflakes before sprinkling them around Equestria during winter. Simple message and lovely story in a short animation, one that's obviously meant more for people who feel outcast despite what they can bring to the world. I will admit, when I watched it as a kid, I actually didn't know she was blind. I know it's stated thrice, but I was 9, so cut me some slack. It doesn't mean I didn't resonate with it though. I understood the message nonetheless, and it helped me feel better a lot about being outcast during that time. It didn't make me friends, but I knew that at the very least I could find people who appreciate what I make. And just 2 years later I did, and I still talk to them. I love my friends. But anyways, yeah, Snowdrop was one of the first big fan animations with high quality visuals and a deep story. 14 minutes is more than half the runtime of a My Little Pony episode, and though the story pacing is different from the show, it still feels natural and true to canon in a way. Snowdrop was the first to really make such a heavy animation, so close to the show's style and storytelling, but definitely not the last. Zachary Rich was a senior student at the Savannah College of Art and Design, who, by the way, rejected my application, so shout out to them, and had to turn in a thesis animation. Rich decided that his animation was going to be a 30-minute project featuring not only My Little Pony, but like 90% of Cartoon Network properties at the same time. The plot is simple, but it's really fun in my opinion. Rainbow does a double sonic rain boom, twice the strength and velocity of her usual, and gets blown into another dimension. So instead of Hasbro, she's in Cartoon Network. The Powerpuff Girls try to make her their horsey before she finally makes it back home and gets scolded for her reckless behavior. It's really silly and fun in my opinion, but something I'm gonna mention a few times. My Little Pony fans at this time were two types of people. The happiest people ever, or the most miserable motherfuckers you could ever meet. When this fan animation came out, people started bombarding Rich with hate because it wasn't accurate enough. The animation subpar. The storytelling just not right. A 30-minute animation for anything is an amazing feat, and I don't know why so many fans thought that this one college student's thesis project was going to look and be written like, I don't know, the My Little Pony movie, but they did. But not only that, Rich faced the legal troubles of this thesis. He swears in the description that he got legal permissions from Cartoon Network and Hasbro to make this, but in general, that doesn't sound like something they would do, especially with another story that I'm going to cover in a bit. Some people rumored that Hasbro revoked their permissions due to Rich potentially using official models for animation, but that was never confirmed as far as I know. However, assuming that either company had issues with this animation is entirely fair. In 2014, it was taken down silently, but just as quietly was brought back up, and it's still available to view now. I saw some rumors that Savannah College banned including licensed characters in thesis projects because of this, but I can't prove that, so take it with a hint of salt. And also, I'm pretty sure all colleges enforced that rule even before Double Rainboom existed, so I mostly doubt it, but I thought I'd mention it. Whilst Double Rainboom was a very ambitious project, the next I remember was much more casual and lighthearted. Button Mash was a character that received a lot of fan animations with surprising amounts of high quality animation. He is canon in a way, but was just a background character that suddenly got a massive fan base after appearing once. Every background character had this happen, by the way, but Button Mash got a surprising amount of attention compared to others. Jan Animations, a popular animator at the time, began animating a short show for the character, revolving around his life and shenanigans, all in the My Little Pony style with similar humor. It had amazing voice acting for the time and was really funny for a fan project, even if it was less than 5 minutes long. A lot of people like to ship him with Sweetie Belle, which I'm assuming is because they had that like pretty girl, Lex Luthor gamer vibe, which yeah, I think that's cute. And with both their canon and fandom personalities, I do think that they mix pretty well. The ship actually got so popular that Jan Animations made a separate animation with a parody song of Don't Mind at Night, a Minecraft parody of Last Friday Night, featuring the two playing Minecraft in the My Little Pony Cinematic Universe, or MLPCU as I call it. I only knew that Button Mash version of that song as a kid, and I didn't learn until I was 17 that it was a parody, and not only that, it was a parody of a parody, which is a 6-year gap, so oops. That ship also got big enough that another fan animation by Mr. Cupcake was made, featuring the two singing a love song to each other as grown-ups. The story in that one is kind of unclear, maybe like a tragic love story where they broke up or things didn't work out. It's kind of left up to interpretation, but it's still really popular. As far as I know, the song that was featured in that animation is entirely unrelated to My Little Pony, but still, Eily Monty was the vocalist for the female side, which is really funny in context to how popular she was for singing My Little Pony characters. Maybe a sign of things to come or something, I don't know. Either way, Button Mash was quickly becoming an adored character, and this slice of life show that Jan was creating was gaining a lot of publicity and attention, until Hasbro decided to be the fun police and sent him a cease and desist letter to take down all My Little Pony content. Not just Button Mash, but everything. That was a whole fight that resulted in Button Mash's videos being deleted from his channel, except Don't Mind at Night because they got an exception, and also resulted in Jan leaving the internet entirely. That's 3 total in the gone from YouTube My Little Pony animators curse. Horrid. One that I'm not sure if most remember, but I do, was an SFM animation titled Remembrance, animated by Argo Damon. It's overlaid on the song Remember Me by Thomas Bergerson. It's Twilight as an alicorn walking into a room where all her friends are stone, before sacrificing her wings to bring them all back. The main point of it was to be free for interpretation. Anyone can make their own story from it, like, oh, she gave up her alicorn magic, or oh, she gave up her immortality. Just whatever you wanted it to be. And me, little and 12, thought I would go for it. My comment from 6 years ago now, so again, me at 12 or 13, is still there. Here's what my philosophical being had to put up for interpretation. My story for this is actually really dark, but here goes nothing. So what I imagine happening is that the 5 friends were killed in an accident, and Celestia states that they cannot be brought back due to too much time having passed. Therefore, if she tried to revive them, they would still be gone due to age. Now, Twilight is a princess. She can live forever. She, however, doesn't want to be separated from the group of friends that mean so much to her. So her final decision is to end her life. The spell you see her doing is one that would kill herself. And one that destroyed the things around her because of how powerful it was. When she fell down in the final scene, that is when she died. When she woke up, she was in this new world where her friends were and is now in a peaceful place with them. I thought I was so smart back then, and it just makes me cringe now. I was more edgy than philosophical, I think. But surprisingly, I made that comment in 2019, but I remember watching it in 2015. So I guess I stewed on my interpretation for a while. I just wanted to add that one because of that comment specifically. All of those were the most iconic sort of animations, known for being good, funny, enjoyable, and just recognizable. But of course, the fandom is more than just that. And there are infinitely more popular animations, not because they're better, but because they're, you know. Fandom at this point in time is surprisingly more adult than child, and people really like taking pretty horses and making them bleed and stuff. So roll in those animations. Cupcake was animated countless times by different people, but the most recognizable is the one by Mr. Davy. Mr. Davy was a well-known animator at this point because he did the same thing over and over. My Little Pony animations that look super cute at first, and then the most livid gore that could be portrayed in the show's art style, which was surprisingly way more versatile than you'd think. Even though his Cupcakes animation was the most popular of that subgenre, his most popular and recognizable animation was of course Smile HD. Smile HD was a gore fest in its entirety. It's just Pinkie Pie killing her friends brutally, like unnecessarily mean, and then blowing up the world with her wicked strong powers. I don't know. Mr. David was also wiped out in the 2020 purge, and I want to say it was due to Kappa, but a lot of people rumor that Hasbro also approached him and threatened legal action to remove his videos. Either way, that's 4 in our My Little Pony animator death stories. Then there was the Pony.Mob series, or is it pronounced movie? I never checked. Anyways, these were weird and exposed me and a lot of kids to words I did not know were inappropriate, let alone slurs. I'm not gonna recap it a lot because I don't want to watch it again, and it's also not exactly winning any awards for best storytelling.
Yo, I'm bored. You wanna go hang out with Fluttershy?
Okay.
Take that, you stupid cunt. Yeah, welcome to Ponyville, faggot. Bada boom.
It's not a gore fest entirely, it's just really crude stories of the main 6 and not safe for work humor with this really ugly art style. Think Meat Canyon, but it's not for horror, it's just shock value and being gross and offensive. I talk very poorly of it now, but I genuinely used to love this as a kid, and I don't know why. I didn't even like it, I literally only remember saying ha 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 wag as a stim for some reason. I also got grounded when my brother told my dad he heard Rainbow Dash say the F slur 5 times in a row, so that was nice. Someone in my server brought up these really weird, like, actual just gore for the sake of gore animations. If it wasn't obvious what it was, they're titled Fluffy Pony Kill Abuse. Guess what happens? I'm not gonna detail them much because they're just gross and like I don't want to. And don't get me wrong, I don't have an issue with darker animations or edgy content. To this day, one of my favorite animation series from the fandom was Elements of Insanity, a creepypasta sort of series where My Little Pony characters become merged with evil legends. Applejack becomes Apple Pill, and her whole thing is that she's addicted to pills. Pink is Cupcake, it's just Pinkie Pie but heavily inspired by cupcakes to be the psycho killer type with really gross baking practices. Fluttershy, which guess what her deal is. Rare Fruit is Rarity but like really likes hats and has super volatile behaviors over it. Rainbine is just Rainbow Dash but cyborg and she can make guns with her body whenever she likes. And of course Brutalite Sparcake, which she got merged with 2 instead of 1 because apparently there was another Twilight that got merged with the character and it would like ruin canon. I'd never really got into it, I don't know. So she took 2 souls to strengthen her magic, but it also corrupted her mind. It's really edgy and really silly, but it's charming. I'm specifically talking about the animation from The Inverted Shadow, the union of the elements of insanity.
Hate to interrupt your posting. Where's Twilight?
I really like the dialogue and the concept of them being merged with Tall Tales. It's dark and it doesn't really make any sense, and it's cringe, sure, but again, the dialogue is just really funny and the pacing was amazing. I mean, it's really fast, but consistently. Maybe my nostalgia goggles are making it seem good, but I really like it nonetheless. But yeah, there were tons of edgy animations too, mainly just taking the popular grimdark stories at the time and making them into animations. They were fine for the time, but I do wish in hindsight I hadn't seen most of that not safe for work stuff, because, you know, I was 9. Especially these like weird not safe for work SFM animations that were always sneaking onto a lot of kids recommended tabs. I'm not gonna delve much into it again. Weirdly sensual animations of them making out or being intimate, just subtle enough to not be deleted, but still really gross that so many kids watched it. Oh, you know what? Another one that was also extremely popular, but I don't really know how to pinpoint it on this like chart that I have, is My Little Pony Friendship Was Magic. It was a surprisingly popular animation despite being like extremely incomprehensible to most fans, especially when it was released. It's all the main cast being defeated by Chrysalis in Discord before Twilight is launched out of a window while seeing flashbacks of her life. The animation makes zero sense to most people since, you know, like what's happening, but it's a My Little Pony style recreation of Cowboy Bebop's episode 5. Same song and everything. Not sure where it really fits, but I really wanted to include it because I love Cowboy Bebop. It's so goated and I wanted to put it in. But also, I do have beef with the creator of that animation because they're the animator of Fluttershy Gets Beep Beeped. It falls again into that like weird not safe for work territory and it's just really weird. Sad that the creator of this one also made that, but what are you gonna do? I wanted to have honorable mentions for each section that I do. You know, running it back from that one infection video I did. And I figured the honorable mention for the animation segment, I would just use it to save time. So, honorable mention goes to meme fanimations. Yay! There were so many meme animations on YouTube at this time too, because, again, 2010s. YouTube at this point, it's like that YouTube poops type era. There was It's Raining Tacos, which was Sonata dancing with the song It's Raining Tacos. It's just really goofy but simple, you know. There was also Delicious Saga, so okay, this one needs context. So one day, Twilight Sparkle voice actress Tara Strong tweeted this voice clip of herself where she said, "I'm the T to the WILIGHT, and ain't no other pony troll it down like me. I'm Twilight-licious." Again, I don't know. That got animated into a short clip, and soon after, animations for each pony got made with the same gimmick. Only Twilight's had the actual voice actress, but that was also a thing.
I'm the T to the WILIGHT, and ain't no other pony troll it down like me. I'm Twilight-licious.
The last one that's YouTube meme poop type that I can remember was pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows. It was this thingy-majiggy just dancing on rainbows.
Pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows. Pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows.
If I remember correctly, that got turned into a short series where she lives with Chrysalis and a bunch of people ship them. Anyways, that was a lot of talking about just one of the sections, so yay. I definitely skimmed over a lot of projects at this time, but I just can't fit everything in. I'm on page 15 already, and again, I have 2 other sections to write, so I can't just put it all in. But it was really fun to revisit those old animations. Other than fan animations, I also remember a lot of music being made for the fandom. This section will be shorter, mainly since I can't just play all of it. I already mentioned Lullaby for a Princess and the Moon Rises, but mainly for the animators that accompany them. However, there were a lot of fan songs made just for fun, even if they didn't have the highest quality animations fronting them. It'd be criminal to start this without the most obvious one, Discord. The Living Tombstone had a surprising amount of My Little Pony fan songs, but Discord was big. I still see people online that learn about it not even being a My Little Pony song. The other big one at this time was Nightmare Night, composed by Wooden Toaster and Mike the Microphone. Nightmare Night wasn't really about anything like lore heavy, it was just a Halloween themed song with a simple beat and retelling the same Nightmare Moon myth that the show does.
No choice, she's gonna blow you all back with her equestrian voice. So cover all of your fears and stow away all your fright. The Lunar Princess is back to bring the nightness tonight.
Wooden Toaster wasn't done cooking bangers though, because soon after they released Rainbow Factory. This was different from the last 2, which were purely made out of context that were canon in the show. But Rainbow Factory was a song for a fan fiction for the show, specifically one of the Grimdarks. And like high key, it's good. I really liked it when I was younger, which, not that I had like amazing music taste when I was 10, but you know. I also remember I Am Octavia, like scarily so. When I was re-listening to it for this video, I was able to sing all of the lyrics accurately. Just so stupid.
You hurt me now, but I won't cry. I am a
It's a parody of I Am Titanium, but with Octavia instead, which again was another background pony that somehow got a huge fan base out of nowhere. And it played off the relationship between Octavia and DJ Pone 3, which is same thing. Both were background ponies implied to be into music, and people created entire stories of them being roommates and best friends, and others implied them to be lovers. Not that this song is explicitly doing so, but yeah. Though the beginning does feel a lot like a breakup scene, so interpret it as you will.
It's fine.
Awesome. Now, I really gotta get back to—
Actually, no, it's not fine, Vinyl, because you've done this to me before, and this is a really big thing for me, and you're not there to support me.
Yeah, I know. I just
can't believe you.
Octi, come on. You know how my schedule can get. Look, after tonight, I swear things will be different, okay? We can go to that restaurant that you—
I don't want you sorry, Vinyl.
What?
Consider this friendship over.
Octavia, come on. You don't mean that.
You've let me down too many times.
Wait, no, please, Octavia!
This headcanon also got so popular that it got turned into canon in the show, so woohoo. Anthropology was a really fun one, and weirdly catchy, despite being really weird.
Human beings fascinate me, being just the way they are. Tell me, little pony, can you push a cart or drive a car?
So there's this character, Lyra Heartstrings. I'm 50% sure that was a fanon name that became canon, but I could be wrong. So this entire song exists because of this one frame of Lyra sitting in a human position for a split second in an episode that went viral, and this big headcanon that she is infatuated with humans, maybe even went into the Equestria Girls universe, became crazy popular. So Anthropology was also a big song in the fandom. I'm not sure if this counts entirely, but I also recall Ailey Monty, that vocalist I've mentioned thrice now, being in so many songs at this time. She was a singer, but one of her gimmicks was that she could recreate any character's voice. That's why her voice for Luna was scarily good in the Moonrises animation. She had this one video that was a dark horse but sung in a bunch of My Little Pony characters' voices. Granny Smith, Apple Bloom, Button Mash's mom, I guess.
Armor, she can be my sleeping beauty. I'm going to put her in a coma. What? Yeah! So you wanna play with magic? Boy, you should know what you're falling for.
Again, I don't really know if it counts, but it's too iconic to not include it. There's also Daddy Discord, which, how do I begin this one? Okay, so season 2, Discord gets introduced, embodiment of chaos, blah blah blah, that's his thing. Again, for 3 seconds, this random character is shown floating in the background while the world is smothered in chaos, and the fans were like, oh, that's Discord's daughter, obviously. Keep in mind, this character was never seen again. Regardless, fans dubbed this character Screwball. So for fun, a duet between the two was made by San Joseph, and a PMV edit was made by Madame LaFleur that garnered 10 million views. The editor doesn't give themselves much credit, but for it not being a traditional animation, I think it's pretty good. The song, I don't really like. It's not bad at all. I just wouldn't listen to it. Maybe it's just that the mics are really low quality, but that's just me. A lot of people did like it though, because it was expanding that type of lore some more with fanning characters and such. I'm not sure how much these count for music, but I do remember that Magpie Pony had written her own fan fiction, dubbed it, and also made animatics and musical numbers for it. The series was called Princess Trixie, I believe. I never got into it personally, but I hear it had some drama around it. Shunks made a video about it that I haven't seen, but I trust that they covered it well. Either way, I never watched Princess Trixie Sparkle, but I did watch all of Magpie's song videos. I didn't love the music, I just recognized the lost narrator Sona there and was like, oh yeah, this is he. Update, I just learned that Magpie and the lost narrator are dating. I don't know how I lost that detail considering how genuinely obvious it is, but they also celebrated their 5th wedding anniversary like just a few months ago. And I don't know how I missed it, but congrats to those two. Anyways, Magpie had a bunch of fan music for that custom story, but no one did fanfiction music better than Friendship is Witchcraft. Friendship is Witchcraft was basically like the abridged dub of My Little Pony. You know how 50% off is the abridged version of free? It's like that.
What's up, sluts? Guess who just got out of prison?
Sluts? Prison? Uh-huh. Nagisa?
Yeah!
This one was the same for me. I never watched it because the humor was too adult and I just didn't understand it. But I did enjoy the music a lot. What fascinates me is that every character except Rainbow Dash was voiced by Jenny Nicholson. Like, you know, the My Little Pony commentator, like the mother of. She sung most of the music from Witchcraft. Pinky's Brew, a song of Pinkie Pie missing her parents in a misleadingly happy tone, was on constant repeat for me at the time.
With the knowledge I've accrued, they say a kitchen time saves 9, but I'm just saving 2. I gathered the ingredients to make a time.
There was also It'll Be Okay, which this one's weird. So it's basically Twilight Sparkle's brother is her adopted brother in this story, and she falls in love with him. It's Twilight X Shining Armor just full on. And what's the worst is that the song is genuinely, like, really good.
I threw myself into my studies to have the world in my control. I vaporized the competition. Nobody understands me. It's not evil.
I didn't hear this one as a kid. I heard it a year or two ago in an Inside Job edit, and I used to listen to that sound clip in the background while I would do my homework, and then I realized it was Twilight and her brother. I stopped listening to it. There was also the Bard song, which is actually titled this, but okay. So this word is actually a Romani slur, and most people were like, hey, don't do that. I'm not Romani, nor do I know much of the culture or anything surrounding it, but as far as I remember the situation, it was considered offensive, but not a slur. So people thought it was fine, but in hindsight, it is a slur. And it's kind of messed up how loosely it was for the song and how people excuse it because it's not a real slur or whatever. The song is really good though. It's catchy and sweet if you ignore that aspect, but nonetheless. This actually led to the Living Tombstone, who made a remix of the same song, getting into a pretty big controversy. They made that remix without censoring the word in either title or the song, and people said that Tombstone was complicit against the criticisms of the original and sweeping it under the rug. And to this day, both the original remix and the censored one are gone from the Living Tombstone's account. It really isn't that hard to censor it. Chaos animated the scene and just titled the video Pinky's Bard. Maybe it doesn't have the same meaning, but it avoids, using a slur. This one definitely doesn't count, but I'm including it as the honorable mention for music. So one day, an account named Zab posted this PMV with Rainbow Dash layered onto the song You're Gonna Go Far Kid. However, it was Nightcore, and somehow sounded exactly like her. When I was re-listening to it, I was genuinely surprised with how much it sounds like her, especially these bits. Like, listen. It's not a fan song, but it was the one that I listened to the most, and the 27 million views show that I probably wasn't the only one. I feel like I started talking more about fanfictions and fan dubs and music at the end there, so it's probably a good time to transition into that anyway. Ooh, I am a goat. I don't know what I'm doing. It's currently 3 AM and I wanted to let you in on a secret. So come here, listen close. Fromy is doing commissions. Ooh, you really want to commission me. Ooh. I mentioned this in my last video, but I'm currently saving up for a car because mine sucks, and also my brother's imploded, so we currently are reduced to just one car, so we actually need to buy a car. So these are my commission prices. This is my work. If you want to commission me, just message me. You can join my server and then message me, or you can just add me on Discord and then message me, or Instagram, wherever you want to do it. So if you want a commission, that would be really nice, and if not, just spreading the word helps. So yeah, didn't mean to interrupt. But yeah. Okay, so fanfictions and fandubs, not totally sure where to begin here. Grimdarks are the stuff that most people sub to me are gonna know, so starting there is probably the best. Grimdarks in relation to My Little Pony is basically our version of creepypasta. I said it in one of my old videos that bronies adopted the term, and I got about 500 comments saying, actually, the term comes from Warhammer. I get it! I'm sorry! It got so bad that my own boyfriend corrected me about it. Like, seriously, I got it the first time. Anyways, Grimdarks, there were a ton of those. I already referenced a few, but the most popular were of course Cupcakes and Rainbow Factory. They're the most common things you'll see when you look for My Little Pony horror stuff, since they had the most fleshed out, or at least the most simple to understand plots, even if they're the same thing at the end. Both of them, Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash, kill other ponies to harvest them. Pinkie Pie for cupcakes, Rainbow Dash for rainbows. Cupcakes was a 20-minute read detailing Rainbow Dash getting dissected slowly, and it's also not written well. I don't enjoy gore in general, and I'm really squeamish, but even reading Cupcakes or watching animations of it are like, cause it's just not written really well. Rainbow Factory though I still really like. It delved not really into the gore aspect, rather the relationship between Scootaloo and Rainbow Dash, and how Rainbow now had the task to kill her little sister basically, for the system that she had been enforcing for years. It leans way more into emotional horror, and I think that the entire story is just way stronger for that. But that's not to say other Grimdarks didn't exist and weren't good. I mean, not all of them were good, but anyways. The ones that I remember the most are The Cough, Silent Ponyville, An Apple Sleep Experiment, Little Miss Rarity, and Butterflies. The Cough I brought up in the past, and I still quote it as the first ever infection AU. Disease spreads over the town, and Rainbow has to kill Fluttershy due to her catching it. It's short and spooky, so I liked it. Silent Ponyville I actually have an entire video on, which I recommend. I'm really proud of it still. But the story itself is pretty simple. It's Silent Hill, but My Little Pony. Self-explanatory, I think. Also, hi Sam Rose. An Apple Sleep Experiment is the one I really liked as a kid. And revisiting, it's okay. I think I really liked the story in it when I was younger, with Filthy Rich extorting the apple farm, but knowing with the updated canon that Granny Smith would gouge his eyes out before letting him hold an ounce of power over her, makes it just a little bit harder to enjoy the same. I guess the same could be said about Rainbow Factory since Scootaloo can't fly. Maybe she wouldn't even be killed for disability reasons, or maybe it's sent there from birth. I don't know. Either way, with Apple Sleep Experiment, I do still enjoy it, just not in the same way. Little Miss Rarity, I'm not really gonna detail it. It's the same whole, like, weird not safe for work fetish concept being hidden behind the My Little Pony brand. Like those weird SFM animations that I mentioned. It's remembered semi-well, but I think it's better left untouched for now. Butterflies was one of the only Grimdarks that Fluttershy got. She had Shed.Mauve, but that was just, oh, she has a chainsaw, look out! Butterflies was the first story that she actually got, where she slowly descends after witnessing something horrid in the forest, grows fascinated with death, and lures her friends into deaths with butterfly larvae to satiate that mental break. I hated that Fluttershy didn't have many Grimdarks, even though it would be so easy. Like, make the super shy character, like, not shy when it comes to something wicked. Like, there you go. Not necessarily a psychotic monster that has no resemblance to her personality like Shed, but like something kind of thought out. Maybe that's harder to make than I know, but I don't know, it's just me. Those were the big Grimdarks that a lot of people remember, but I need to bring up the more obscure ones that were like one-off stories that almost no one talks about, but I still really like them. Flutterschmooze was one I remember a lot. It only has 160,000 views, which, don't get me wrong, nothing to snooze at, pun intended. But with most Grimdarks being at like 10 million and up, it was definitely overlooked. I forgot to write in the script, but it's written by Opium 40 Masses. Bit of a long name. It's really simple. There's a My Little Pony fan event where mascot suits of all the My Little Pony characters are performing, but one of them, the suit for Fluttershy, is weird. The suit starts to rot and leak black sludge, and the performer slowly loses themselves in the mascot suit, and by the end of it, it's heavily implied whoever was inside and the mascot have become one creeping and like destroyed creature before it ends suddenly. I think there's one that's exactly the same for Godzilla, like a person that was in the Godzilla suit and then they became like merged. It's basically that, but yeah. I really like this one because it wasn't a grimdark in the usual sense of making the characters scary. Rather, it took a situation of them in the real world and made horror out of that. And I really appreciated that. A similar creepypasta to that one, which was written by the same author, was called Why I Stopped Watching My Little Pony, where a mother is emailing Hasbro angrily since the new episodes she's watching of My Little Pony are strangely disgusting. Like one of the episodes, Angel gets sick and they put the bunny down, but Fluttershy's friends tear the rabbit apart. Another episode, Pinky apparently threw a bad party and was bullied relentlessly until she started torturing herself for the rest of the episode. All of the episodes coming on are gruesome torture fest, and the mother becomes more and more concerned for what her daughter is watching. Hasbro just emails back that My Little Pony is not a show that exists, nor one that Hasbro has any plans to make. It's one of those, again, like a creepypasta but in the real world with real people and something unexplainable. I guess it's the same author, I just really like that they went with that angle. I really lean towards those since they felt like they could be real somehow, even if they obviously weren't. I kind of wish they got more attention at the time, and even now. I feel like I talked a lot about creepypasta and grimdark, so maybe we should move to the lighter stories that people made. Scribbler Productions did a lot of these one-shot videos, just dubbing over a short comic and garnering millions of views. I think it's funny that the most popular one they had was also a My Little Pony sad video, like the one I brought up at the beginning. You can tell what audiences like during this era, and I love that. Also, Scribbler is apparently subscribed to me, which is really flattering since I used to watch these a lot as a kid, so hi Scribbler. The one-shot comics were super common, and videos like these were pretty easy to find, and they'd become insanely popular since they were so short and just easy to binge through. But longer stories weren't prone to visibility. This is probably a weird time to say, my throat started hurting, so I got a lollipop, so if I sound weird, that's why. Longer comics and sometimes longer videos started to gain traction. This delved into that area of friendship is witchcraft, which I already mentioned, but more story driven. Bride of Discord, that one, it's really simple. It's the love story of Discord and Fluttershy drawn out and written kind of like a dark romance, but also like while keeping that PG MLP rating. It's kind of hard to explain. I think Beauty and the Beast is the main inspiration for it, so just think of it like that. If you watched it, you get it, and if you didn't, you don't. I kind of forgot most of it, I won't lie, but what I remember most, and is the main reason I don't want to watch it again, is that there's a B plot where where do I start? So you know how Spike really likes Rarity in the show? So in this story, Rarity full on rejects him and is painted to be the villain even though she's a grown adult and he's like 11. And Applejack starts dating him.
But I love him. I know he's a little young, but it's only a 7-year difference. He's all I think about.
I don't know who thought that was the way to go. And no, it wasn't that Spike was portrayed to be like mature or anything. Because Applejack says, and I'm just gonna play the clip.
It's Godfather!
Huh?
Oh, you know, because you two are totally gonna tie the knot someday.
Now, Pinky, we haven't been dating that long. Besides, we'd have to wait until Spike's old enough for, that kind of commitment.
That's insane, right? Like it's not just me. She's literally saying that she's dating a child, but Rarity is the bad one. Ugh. Other than that mess, there was the sequel to that story, which is Daughter of Discord. So remember Daddy Discord, where it became a really popular headcanon that Screwball was his daughter? This story more so made her the daughter of Fluttershy and Discord, which I really liked. It was pretty creative for the fandom at the time. So Screwball is the daughter of Fluttershy and Discord, and she starts to fall in love with Mothball. But not only is he a changeling, this was before they became like good in the show, but also he's the son of Queen Chrysalis. I didn't finish it. I stopped watching right after that episode because that's where they ended. I binged it all in a day and I just never got back to watching it because it wasn't there. I hear it's good, or at least better than Bride of Discord, but let me know if that's right or wrong. Either way, I think that for what they were pretty good fanfics and dubs, but the Applejack and Spike thing was just really weird.
It's only a 7-year difference.
Especially with how Applejack like acknowledges that he's a kid and doesn't see an issue with it. I mentioned Princess Trixie Sparkle earlier, but I didn't watch it, so I can't really explain the plot or details much. All I know is that basically, Trixie and Twilight swap bodies and chaos ensues. I'm not gonna lie, I've been writing the script for about 9 hours now, and I've been recording for like 3, that's why I got the lollipop. So I'm not at my strongest anymore. I can't really remember any more of those fan dubs specifically. I mainly just know that The Lost Narrator and Scribbler were the main ones dubbing stories like that, and Magpie Pony too. But what I actually really wanted to hone in on, this because it counts for my honorable mention, but it ended up being the longest part of this segment, so I guess everything before was honorable mention. Sorry. I know there's a lot of people in the circle that have watched stuff like LPS Popular, where people would make role plays and full-on stories with LPS toys. I personally never got into that because I was too busy watching Too Young by Yum Soda. They go by Hazel Soda now, and they still make My Little Pony videos. I recommend you watch them because they're really funny. But I consumed all of Soda's content like a beast when I was younger. And I remember this mini-series scarily so. Originally, I was going to summarize Too Young and all of the other roleplay series that they did, but it's just gonna take too long, so we're just gonna do this one. So here's a plot recap because rewatching this was some of the most fun I think I've ever had, and I need more people to know about this. So, okay. Sky Wishes is the new kid out of public school, having been in private school for a long time due to bullying. She's Princess Cadence's daughter, but adopted, even though they kind of look exactly the same. It's an adopted thing. She instantly becomes friends with Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie and catches the attention of Rainbow Blitz, basically just Rainbow Dash but a guy. But she also catches the attention of the school bullies. Basic Mean Girls plot just right off the bat. So Rarity is Sunset Shimmer's main pawn basically, and Sunset Shimmer is with Rainbow Blitz, but also Sky Wishes apparently knew Rainbow Blitz when they were younger, and they had like unknown feelings for each other, but it's all in the past now. Now, at first, Rarity and Sunset are trying to make her like one of them in their popular group, but after they beat up Fluttershy for literally no reason, Sky Wishes is like, no. So then they're like, okay, cool, we're gonna ruin your life, naturally. Since they can't get Sky, they go to the other new girl, Twilight, who 2 new students in the span of a week, I guess. And for some reason, Sky straight up calls her a slut for wearing a dress.
You're a total slut. How dare you?
Which made me laugh because she had nothing on before that, but putting a skirt on, that's when it got too far. And Rainbow Blitz like sees like all of this happening, and he was just like, oh, this is cringe, and dumps Sunset Shimmer kind of out of nowhere. And she didn't like that, so she asked Fluttershy's brother, which by the way, she has a brother called Butterscotch, to start getting close to Sky. And those two become friends and eventually start dating, kissing and hanging out, etc, etc. Butterscotch, after having become close with Sky, eventually leads her to this area behind the school where the bullies are, and they're like, become one of us or else. And they tied up Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy together as leverage, I think. But Sky Wishes is like, no. So naturally, the next step, they beat her up in a corner against this massive rickety building, and it causes it to start falling. So all of them run away, and Butterscotch, with like 10 whole seconds available, runs away instead of moving her 2 inches to the right so she won't be crushed by this massive building. So yeah, yikes. The crash starts a massive fire, so Rainbow Blitz was like, let me at him, and just dives into this burning building. He gets to the room super far away with Pinkie and Fluttershy, who are still tied up, and Sky under the building through the smoke that's, you know, filling up the building somehow, and is somehow able to untie the two, talk to them before hurling the building off of her long enough to get her out. And then he carries her to the exit, which is blocked by fire, so they're figuratively and literally cooked. They both fall down and are starting to go unconscious because, again, there's smoke everywhere. And Rainbow Blitz is like, if you die, I'm dying with you, or something like that.
No, I'm not gonna let you go no matter what. If you die, we die together.
And they're like already like on the ground and they're on the verge of dying before Celestia finally does the bare minimum and uses her powers to put out the fire. So it's show accurate at least. So Sky ends up in the hospital because, you know, she was being kicked in a corner against a building, and then a building fell on her, and then she was on fire for like 5 minutes. So, you know, Loki could go to the hospital, but she just walks out of there with a cast on her wing. So I guess she took it well. And then the bullies, who, I don't know how to emphasize this, beat her up against the building and let it fall on her, pull up to the hospital, and start apologizing. And I don't understand why. And then Butterscotch also pulls up, again, had like 10 seconds to save her, but just ran away instead, also pulls up, and he's doing that whole thing of being like, I don't deserve forgiveness. And Sky Wishes deadass says,
everyone makes mistakes, Butterscotch.
A building fell on you. Pick yourself up. You do not gotta forgive everyone around you. She forgave the bullies too. Because if that was me, I would have so much money from all 4 lawsuits. I'm saying that right now. It goes into the season finale where she's popular and everyone loves her all of a sudden, except for this actual nobody who decides she wants to be popular despite having severe anger management issues. And randomly, for no reason, her teacher just says,
look, Rainbow Crush, I don't think this class is a very good idea for you, especially because you're with your friend Daisy Doo. I would like you to go into the lower class of inquiry.
He actually just calls her stupid to her face, and she kicks him across the room and he crashes his head against the edge of a table. And also that was Sky Wish's stepdad, so I haven't really been talking about it, but there's this B plot where Sky Wish's mom, Cadence, is being really neglectful ever since she got her new job, and especially her new husband. And now in the span of a week, Cadence's daughter and husband have been in the hospital. So she's kind of upset and also pregnant. And don't worry, Sky takes the opportunity to make the news all about herself and pretend Cadence is the villain for expecting a baby with her new husband, I guess.
Why didn't you tell me? I'm sorry, sweetie. I didn't mean to tell you, but I'm just so busy with work and Work? You mean flirting with your little shiny baby? I'm just sick of this.
This marks the end of season 1 before launching into season 2. Before starting it, I wanted to show this clip where Soda had the class watching the Brony documentary in class on the screen of a Nokia. This is such a relic of the time. I love this series so much. Anyways, apparently that nobody that is now the new bully is called Rainbow Crush, and she was apparently also from Sky Wishes' past, like Rainbow Blitz, but instead of her crush, she was her bully. Because remember, like, she was homeschooled for being bullied. Apparently Rainbow Crush is the one that bullied her. So her whole thing is that she has anger issues and is super violent and keeps getting told by her friend and family to take her pills.
Don't forget your pills, Rainbow Crush.
I don't know what that whole thing's about, but anger issues alone don't require medication. I mean, if she has something like bipolar disorder or other mental illnesses that cause anger issues, then yeah, she might be taking mood stabilizers or antidepressants. But the way that they just keep saying she's so angry all the time and did you take your meds? It just feels a little like, oh. But I'm pretty sure Hazel was just really young and didn't get that, so I don't really mind. So at the moment, everything is happily ever after, you know, live, love, laughing. Rainbow Blitz and Sky Wishes are going to prom together, everyone's happy, except Crush, who is still molding for literally no reason. And then randomly one day, Sky comes to school and everyone just hates her. Like, her friends are crying, Rainbow dumps her, just full 180 on the Sky hype train, and it's been like 24 hours, so all of them keep saying that she made a bunch of mean comments about them online, and she's just like, I don't even have a computer. I also found it really funny how fast Rainbow dumped her because he just gave her a dog, so they have a dog together, and they're like immediately getting split up and not doing shared custody, so this poor dog isn't gonna see his dad. It's fucking tragic. And then Rainbow Crush like struts in all posh, and the old bullies come in behind her and they're mean again. This is why I said stop forgiving everyone, cause why? They didn't change at all. I'm like 90% sure they just said sorry because they wanted to be in the hospital for some reason. So Sky starts fighting Crush because like she implies that it was her and someone else that did the whole impersonating stuff, and in the middle of it, Sky throws a rock and she misses so bad that she chucks it at a teacher's head, causing her to pass out and fall on the edge of a pole. So in the span of 5 minutes, she lost her best friend's boyfriend and is now looking at possible manslaughter charges. Isn't this amazing? Principal Celestia asked why she did that, because obviously what made me like physically get up and like look at my screen mouth agape was that she immediately tells Sky that she's proud of her for standing up for herself.
Why did you keep kicking her, Sky Wishes? You didn't need to kick her that many times. I wanted to win all the other fights she would do to me. That's the answer I expected you to say, Sky Wishes. What? You've done a very good job in defending yourself, and I'm proud of you. But, no, I put a teacher in hospital. That wasn't your fault, Sky Wishes. You were defending yourself. I understand. You're a teenager. Everyone goes through these kind of stages.
Did we miss the part where a teacher is in the hospital? Then again, Rainbow Crush is still here despite sending Shining Armor to the hospital, so I guess this is just something the teachers do. Glorify violence, because why not? Rainbow Crush starts flirting with Rainbow Blitz since he's single, and her whole thing is just that she wants to be popular. And under zero pressure from anyone, he goes to her house, asks her to prom, and starts kissing her. I fucking hate this guy. This is the same guy that laid in a burning building with Sky Wishes and said, if you die, we die together. Literally the only thing Rainbow Crush said is that I'm single. And he takes it like, maybe Sky is better off without him. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie are like still seeing the main comments, but at this point they're like 90% sure that Sky probably isn't the one behind the mean account. And randomly they go into Butterscotch's room and they see him like hunched over like his desk like a little fucking gamer guy, and he's tweeting from a fake account. So he's the one that made the fake account and started impersonating her and saying all these mean things about literally everyone. This is why I say don't forgive anyone. And as far as I know, it was also under zero pressure on him to do this, by the way. Like Rainbow Crush just said, I'll pay you. And he was like, all it takes. and the way that he starts acting like he had no choice really bothers me. Like, come on. So Pinkie and Fluttershy feel bad, obviously, and go to Sky to comfort her. And quick trigger warning for self-harm. Yeah, they went there. They find her with cuts on her legs, and when they ask why she has them, she just says, I was really depressed. They went there, and it's uncomfortable seeing self-harm added for shock value in a pony roleplay series, especially since it's just kind of brushed over and never brought up again. But again, Soda was young, so I can't really hold it against him, nor do I want to. So when Sky Wishes goes back to school, she sees Rainbow Crush and Rainbow Blitz like just straight up making out. And she goes to Rainbow Crush and she's like, what did you do to him? Girl, literally nothing. He folded the moment a woman got near him. Find someone better. So she like gets depressed immediately again, and like during lunchtime she doesn't get any food and she starts saying stuff like I just really had a big breakfast, which I'm not even gonna try anymore. For some reason Butterscotch thinks that apologizing to Sky Wishes like right after she learns from other people what he did is a fantastic idea. And finally, Sky does something that I like. She tells him off and says she won't forgive him considering everything that happened.
Go away from me, okay? I don't accept your apology and I never will, so just leave me alone and don't ever go near me again. I'm sorry.
Thank God. I am so sick of her trying to be nice. Like, she beats people up. Like, she doesn't have to act like she's nice, and she doesn't have to forgive people who are constantly trying to ruin her life. So when Butterscotch's whole thing there falls apart, he goes to Fluttershy instead to apologize, and that doesn't go over well either. And he literally says,
"Look, that was a long time ago, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean it."
Yesterday is so long ago. And then when she tells him off, everyone around is suddenly like, yeah, bro, you're so lame. And I don't know why they did that. Like, I agree, but fucking insult to injury. Anyways, at this point, Twilight is friends with the main group again because the mean girls decided she's ugly and fat, I guess. I don't know, they're just really mean. Like, for no reason. I didn't mention this, but I think it's really funny and I want to bring it up. You know how Sunset Shimmer is the like original Rainbow Blitz ex-girlfriend? She literally just sits there and watches him like make out crazy style with Rainbow Crush like it's no big deal. And I thought it was the funniest thing that she's like, she doesn't even say anything. And you know what? Same thing about Twilight, because remember when I said that the professor got struck by that rock and went to the hospital? That was Twilight's mom. And now she's friends with Sky Wishes after she sent her mom to the hospital. I don't know. So anyways, Twilight's with their friend now, and she takes them all to this bougie ass mall to find dresses, and they all get decked out like ready to slay at the party of the year. Like, they are killing it. Like, look at these outfits, they are ready. It cuts suddenly to Butterscotch crying and writing a note before he leaves it on Fluttershy's bed. And then trigger warning for suicide. Yeah, they went there too. He falls off his balcony out of shame and regret, and Fluttershy finds his body hours later. So, yay! Pinkie is so fucking goofy, by the way. She sees Fluttershy crying and literally says, "Think about the positives, the party tomorrow." This is not the time! Rainbow Blitz finds Sky Wishes still at the scene of the crime and apologizes half-heartedly about how he's like dating Rainbow Crush and how he only did it to make her jealous. And after learning that she was being impersonated, he's like, I'm so sorry. Can we be together? And she takes him back immediately. You just heard him self-report that his response to being upset with you is flocking to another woman, and you're gonna take him back? I don't know how much I can emphasize this. Butterscotch's body is right there. Fluttershy is crying right there when they're doing this. I really love this. It's so silly. Next day, Fluttershy doesn't go to school and says she probably won't go to the party either, considering her brother died the day before, so I guess the party wasn't gonna cheer her up. Rainbow Blitz breaks up with Rainbow Crush very publicly because nothing can be done without an audience. And we all know that it's just gonna result in Sky Wishes either being socially cock-blocked or severely injured. So put your guesses in for which one it is. When Sky goes home, she gets like jump scared by shining armor being right in her face. When this scene came up, it actually scared me too.
I'm sorry, dear. Did I startle you?
I skim over the parts with her parents a lot because it can be really easily summarized, but here's her whole deal. They don't like that Sky Wishes isn't treating them like family and keep demanding that she calls them mom and dad and the new baby her sister. But Sky Wishes just keeps referring to them by their first names and saying that like demon that's growing in Cadence is not her sister. I don't really know why, but that's like their whole deal right now. And Shining Armor says like in a really like scary way, your mother is gone, like her birth mother. And she's like, how do you know? And then they just don't elaborate on that again. So I was like fully convinced they were gonna do like they were the ones that killed her mom or something. But yeah, that's like the whole family situation right now. And also Sky keeps finding her mom like crashed out and puking all over the house and like limp on the ground sometimes. and she just walks over her body like it's nothing. Like, the woman that adopted you is pregnant and very vulnerable. At least help her get up. I get that you don't like her, but Jesus. Anyways, the girlies get decked out for the party. Look at these fits. You cannot tell me they don't go crazy. Except that this is the same outfit that Sky Wishes called Twilight a slut for being in. So I don't know if they got over it or are just ignoring it. They get picked up by the guys to go to the big party, which they just put on ties. Average Met Gala outfit on a man, to be fair, but I guess it's the best that they could do. So at the party, the bullies get there early and have this like tub thing full of gross stuff like super glue and hair remover. Like, it's a wicked concoction that I'm amazed didn't melt the bucket itself. People start pulling up, getting ready for the big party, and does it feel insensitive that we're having this big prom-like party like the day after one of the students die with no mention of it? Sure, but I mean, it's the 20th anniversary, so what are you gonna do? Move history? Didn't think so. So what they're doing for the party, instead of like everyone dancing to music, they like get pulled up to the stage individually and start to sing and dance. And eventually Sky Wishes and Rainbow Blitz are like, we wanna dance now. And then Rainbow Crush is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna float up here and pour the goop all over her. Watch this. And then Princess Luna, who spotted them plotting from the back, is like, watch this. So instead of using her magic to stop her still, she uses her magic to knock Rainbow Crush off balance, fall down the stadium, and then onto the ground and pour the goop all over herself instead. Keep in mind, Luna heard them say what's in there and still let it risk getting on someone, even if it's Rainbow Crush. Like, that has super glue and hair remover, but at least get it out of her hands. So because of this whole commotion, everyone gets pulled into the office, and obviously the bullies are getting chastised. Celestia starts ripping into Rainbow Crush specifically, bringing up the fact that she has repeatedly sent students and faculty to the hospital, and also exposes the very sensitive information that Butterscotch offed himself over this, in front of Fluttershy, who is there by the way, and Rainbow Crush just says,
so what? I don't care.
Why is she here? When I was in high school, I saw students get expelled for one fight, especially when it resulted in someone needed medical help. So why is Crush sending multiple people out and still being allowed to attend this prestigious school? Who thought that was a good idea? I'm 100,000% convinced Celestia just lives for the drama, because what could have reasoned any of this? And when her mom comes to pick her up, guess what this bitch says?
You heard Principal Celestia. Now come on home and you can have your pills.
No, go away.
Come on.
I'm genuinely gonna Hulk out. Oh my. Anyways, everything's good now. Rainbow Blitz and Sky Wishes are living their best life in the flowers. Literally. Her friends are still with her, and in the end, when she goes back home, Cadence and Shining Armor surprise her with her mom. Somehow. Even though Shining Armor swore up and down that her mom is dead. Yeah. So the way that I remember this ending is actually really different, and I'm not too sure why, because I remember Cadence like beating Sky Wishes, and then Sky ran away with Rainbow Blitz, and then she found her mom on her own. And saying it out loud, I think I just dreamed that when I was little. So, but yeah, that's it. As far as I know, it's low-key just LPS popular, but My Little Pony, and with some questionable story choices, but I really liked it. I used to use my 2 singular My Little Pony toys and record them on my Samsung because of videos like that, and I would have felt really bad not including these. I think that's a pretty good note to end on though. I say it often, but it's really important to protect what kids are exposed to on the internet. When they're exposed to really mature topics, it can warp how they view their own maturity and make them think that stuff like this is normal to glamorize, and I wish I was in a better situation where I wouldn't have been exposed to things like this. And no, it wasn't my parents' fault. They're older and they don't speak English, so when I got a phone, they didn't know how to use any parental tools nor the things that I was watching due to the language barrier. They just saw Pony and left it there, which I don't hold that against them. More than anything, I'm really glad that that's the childhood I had. I was lonely and videos like that made it easier to just exist. Plus, when I moved schools, it was videos like these that actually led to me making my first ever friends, those of which I still love really deeply. Being that weird kid in the 2010s is, well, weird, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.